The relief of stress and anxiety is a byproduct of gardening. It is not my priority. My goal is overall to grow 70% of what we eat as far as produce is concerned. I'm not there yet, but I am making great progress. But the byproduct is a sense of less fear overall, a decrease in anxiety. It does make me feel better.
Welcome to Rooted and Rising, where we focus on becoming whole through the mind, body, and spirit together. My name is Lamisa, and my guest today is Nicole Curtis. She is a gardener.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Lamisa, for having me. I feel very honored, very grateful. But thank you for having
Oh,
me.
thank you so much. Okay, let's jump right into these questions, girl, because we are ready to hear about what you do. How does getting your hands literally dirty change your stress and anxiety in ways other activities don't?
Okay. To answer that question, to me, the relief of stress and anxiety is a byproduct of gardening. It is not my priority. My priority is very practical. I am a homesteader, which just means that I try to grow a majority of my produce on my property. I do not have animals. We do have a fishing pond, but that's the extent of it. But when I go out, primarily, my goal is overall to grow 70% of what we eat as far as produce is concerned. I'm not there yet. I'm on my journey, but I am making great progress. But the idea of going out and getting my hands in the soil and gardening, because it is such a joy for me, it's like as people say, I geek out there. I have to be careful because everyone is not as excited about gardening as I am. But the byproduct is a sense of less fear overall, a decrease in anxiety. It does make me feel better. There have been times where I've literally felt sick, wanted to take to the bed, and I said, let me just go out and cover this plant. And then 2 hours later, I've forgotten about whatever it is that was had me so concerned or whatever physical ailment I had because covering this plant led to something else and led to something else. And before I know it, I'm feeling just fine. So in that regard, it does bring some relief of anxiety and actually getting my hands in the soil. And then just as a safety precaution and so people understand, I wear gloves 90% of the time. There are things in the soil, sometimes pests, that can cause, great harm and annoyance. I live in South Georgia, where copperheads are real, and different things that can really bite you. So I always, when I give my classes, I recommend wear your headgear to protect from the sun, and also put some gloves on.
Has nurturing plants changed how you think about nurturing yourself?
That's an interesting question because on the riff, I want to say no, but giving it more thought, um, it does. Because when you're growing different things, whether it's tomatoes or bell peppers or collards, whatever you're growing, they require different growing conditions. Your tomatoes, they're going to love the summer heat, although they're going to want some afternoon shade. Your collards, that's a fall vegetable. It's not going to enjoy all that heat. And sometimes you have to, all the times, you have to provide the growing conditions if you want success for that plant. And when you look at yourself, I can easily see how that could be applied. I have to provide the best growing conditions that I can, so that I can grow as well. So, yes.
Tell me more about your fishing pond.
Okay. When we moved from Georgia, Lamisa also knows my husband. This was my idea. The 5 acres and all the stuff. We were just going to get a normal mini mansion that they call them here in Atlanta. And when we began to look, one of his requests was he would like a pond to fish. And when we saw this particular property that I'm on, when I looked at it, I thought it was a retaining pond. I didn't think it was an actual pond. The pictures didn't do it justice. And so when we came out to see it, we see that there's an acre pond on the land, and we're so excited. It's approximately 8 feet deep at its deepest. It's not particularly huge, but we did seek out a place in South Georgia where we purchased catfish. We purchased 200 the first time. They come about like this, and you purchase them per. And we bought them and we added them to the pond, and then we made a second purchase, and we put those in, and we feed them catfish food, and occasionally he goes down there to fish, and that's just a meat source for the homestead. We're still working. I'd love to get to the point where they're big and old enough where they're spawning on their own, and we're no longer having to repopulate the pond. So, but we enjoy it. Our children and grandchildren, enjoy coming out to fish and get outside. So it's been pretty great.
Escape to Hot Springs, Arkansas, and reconnect with yourself at our Feed Your Soul Wellness Retreat happening April 29th. Imagine yourself surrounded by healing waters, expert guidance, and a community dedicated to real wellness. This is your moment to root and rise. Just lock in your spot and save with our early bird registration. Opening November 1st through November 30th. Set your clocks as there are limited space available. Now, back to the episode.
Sometimes the plants doesn't harvest or they die, which I'm sure you've seen this. How has this changed your relationship to failure?
When a plant doesn't make it, I start reevaluating things. And that can be something as simple as, I forgot about this plant and I didn't give it the water it needed. It could be that significant, or it can be, I've also experienced where there is a disease within the plant that spreads to other plants. And it could be something a lot more, a bigger deal to deal with. And I always evaluate, like, what does it need? Did it get enough water? Did it get enough fertilizer? Did it get enough sunlight? Did it get too hot and I needed to put shade cloth? I live in the South. Full sun in the South is different than in the North. I just believe. And a lot of plants require, they'll say on the package, give it 6 hours of full sun. And full sun in the South has killed a whole lot of plants. But I look to what I can do better next time. And I don't take it to heart. And that has also moved over into how I view failure. I don't take it all to heart. What can I learn from this? How can I do it differently? Do I need this plant at all? Do I need whatever that thing is in my life at all? And I evaluate what I can do differently. The other year, my favorite tomato is the pineapple tomato. And it's a slicer. And I had 3 of them growing together. And the second year I was here, I believe this happened. 2 plants on each side, and one in the center was healthy, and the 2 on the outside had disease. I spent a lot of time trying to revive those 2 that were diseased. Ultimately, it spread to the 3rd, and so I lost all 3. And it just taught me, the next time when I saw that, I just remembered from last time. And when it popped up again, I was like, oh no, you got to go. You got to go right away because I have to, save the rest of my harvest. And sometimes we just have to, sometimes I feel that we spend way too much time trying to resuscitate things that in our lives that maybe it is time to let go and, embrace the new when you've done all that you can do.
Has your relationship to patience changed?
Lamisa, I'm going to be totally transparent. It has not. Most gardeners will plant a seed, and if we tell you the truth, we come down the next day and we're like, and we know good and well that nothing is coming up overnight. but we do it anyway. I would love to say that gardening makes me more patient and no, I'm very much like, when's it gonna grow? When's it gonna grow? But I have learned not to rush it. I don't go and get harsh chemicals that will force things to come more quickly. I have learned not to do that. But no, I'm sorry. I don't think it has affected my patience any.
What has observing the full life cycle of plants taught you that you didn't expect?
Mostly that plants, their purpose is not to produce food for us. Their purpose is to produce seed in the earth. So the example as a cucumber, if you allow the cucumbers to stay on the plant, and if they grow to the point where they begin to turn yellow, and sometimes this can happen because there's a lot of leaves on a cucumber plant and the cucumbers can hide. If you allow it to turn yellow, chances are extremely high that that plant is done because it has made seed. That yellow cucumber will continue to rot. All those seeds will drop to the soil, and I have made seed in the earth. All plants are here to continue the reproduction of that plant. As humans, we interrupt that process and we pick them. And then they continue to try to make seed and we continue to pick them. And so that's what I've learned in watching the full life cycle of a.
Okay, that's very interesting where you say they're not for food, they're for seed. So so explain that just a little bit more about like how does the seed interact with the ground?
We plant plants to feed us. The plant is trying to produce seed to continue to produce seed in the earth. So once that seed hits soil, it gets covered up and it can even overwinter. Like next winter in my garden, all kinds of what gardeners call volunteers will pop up. I love volunteer plants. They're often more stronger than new plants that you put in the garden because they've overwintered, they've grown from a plant that survived. Then the seed has dropped, whether that's marigold seeds or cucumbers or tomatoes that have fallen and died and rotted on your in the soil of your plant bed. Those seeds will germinate next year, and you'll see little tomato plants pop up. And that's what I mean without giving, without personifying a plant. That's what I'm trying to say. It's trying to grow more for the future, more plants for the future. So once it hits that soil, sometimes it will overwinter. And next summer when I go out, it's very hard for me to pull a volunteer. I'll have volunteers everywhere where tomatoes or cucumber seeds have fallen, marigold seeds have fallen, and you'll have zinnia seeds, you'll have fresh, plants growing from them.
My dad takes the watermelon seeds out of the watermelon and put them back into the ground he says that they produce.
Yes, absolutely. I will, if I have a pepper plant in particular or a tomato, usually I'll say a pepper plant that has done really, really well. And I'm like, man, I like those peppers, and this plant did so well. I will save some of the seed, and I'll usually put them on a little paper plate and let them completely dry out. And I will plant those seeds again next year because seeds want to grow. So yes, to answer to that question is yes, you can use seeds again. And people have even found success in using seeds from store-bought vegetables as well.
Have you noticed gardening affecting your relationship with your own growth cycle, like seasons of productivity, rest, or struggle?
Seasons of productivity and rest. Not sure about struggle. In the summer, I'm heavy in the garden. The spring, summer, I'm heavy in the garden. So there's a lot of working to get the spring and summer garden planted and then harvesting. So during that time of year, I'm less likely to be handling things in the home as far as like big projects and what have you. Now that I'm in the fall, not everyone has the blessing of fall gardening, but I live in the South, so I do. And but the plants grow much slower. They require much less care. There is way less pest pressure. Often for new gardeners, even though the spring gets all the shine, I like to suggest maybe trying fall gardening if you live in the South, because it does let you kind of ease in on a slower pace with less pest pressure, so you can kind of get used to things before you go, in full in the spring. So I find myself in the winter months, especially when the time changes and it gets dark. I don't want to show my age, but sometimes I look at, oh, it's dark. It's time to go to bed. So like it could be 6:37, but I'm like, I'm tired. Like it's not light outside, and it really affects me. And I think it is because I'm a gardener. But yes, as far as being, super productive and then knowing when it's time to rest, I kind of do follow, like the garden cycle a bit. However, even in the summertime, just as a person, as a human being, when you need rest, you need rest. And I pull back, I vacation, I do other things, so that, so whenever I need rest, I take it. But definitely there is some rhythm to it that matches the garden.
Feeling stuck in your wellness journey? You're not alone. That's why I created the Embodiment Collection. This collection includes 8 digital products we've created to help you embody these traits and connect with your best self. You can buy one, mix and match, or purchase the deluxe, which includes all embodiment guides. Head to LamisaWellnessCollective.com/store or click the link below to shop now. Let your wellness transformation start today. Now, back to the episode.
If someone came to you feeling disconnected from the natural world, what's the first thing you'll have them to grow?
Well, the first thing I would have anyone grow, whether they feel disconnected or not, is something that they eat. A lot of people, for us, a fresh tomato is like a lot of gardeners, like the epitome, like, yes, I grow my own tomatoes. But if you don't eat tomatoes, it don't matter. Whatever you like to grow that is conducive to growing in your area is the first thing that I am going to ask you to try to grow. As far as feeling disconnected from the natural world, gardening is just one of the ways. I'd first make sure that they felt that gardening is a way for them to connect. Some people would prefer the beach, some people prefer the mountains. But just anyone that wants to garden, the first thing that I'm going to suggest you grow is something that you want to eat, that you like to eat.
If you were designing a garden specifically to support someone's emotional or mental well being, what elements would be non negotiable?
I don't design gardens. I only design my own. I do have a ministry at church where I do teach people how to garden. As far as it's supporting their mental well-being, as I stated earlier, for me, it is a byproduct of it because it's a hobby that I truly enjoy. And there are lots of hobbies that you can pick, that you can enjoy, that can help bring you peace if you keep them peaceful. For me, gardening does that. But for me, gardening is very practical, Lamisa. What are you trying to grow first? Are you just trying to make a pretty area with some, flowers? Are you trying to grow food, which is my specialty? And regardless of the mental health benefits, there's just certain things that gardens need to thrive, period. Water, access to sun, um, just things that they need. I don't think that I am the one that they need to come to ask as far as building a garden to help their mental well-being. I can tell you how I protect my peace in my garden. I don't sell anything right now, which has become a struggle, believe it or not. When people find out that I grow, one of their first thing is they ask is, do you sell your vegetables? And they're ready to buy vegetables. I was in the supermarket about 2 months ago. They had a sale, buy one, get one free on their ball mason jars. And I went in because you like never see that. And I had a basket full of them. And strangers were asking me, what are you going to put in those candy jars? Are you going to sell it? And it's become a struggle because I know that I give away a lot of produce that I cannot eat or process. But a lot of people are not okay with receiving without an exchange. So now I'm beginning to make space in my heart and my head for that. But initially, it was like I didn't want to make my garden feel like a job, or, like I got to go out here because I got to get these green beans from Miss Karen, and I got to get that broccoli for Joe, and it's like I just go out to my garden and I'm like, if it grows, it grows. And I'm going to store it up and we'll have it for the winter. And if I have extra, I give it away. And it just feels very, very free. But, some people cannot accept that bless. It doesn't feel like a blessing to them for you to give them food. They feel like it's a blessing when you give me food and I'm able to give you in exchange for it. So I'm making room in my heart for that. I don't let everybody in my garden. I don't let everybody in my garden. I'm really particular. I don't let everybody pick in my garden because they don't know what they're doing. And some of them just don't. I'm very particular about who I let in when I go out there. I'm particular about my posture. If I am stressed or if I am in a hurry, I try to take a minute and take some deep breaths and remember, hey, 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 this is our place of peace. If I get hot, if I get tired, if I'm upset because I've been bitten or stung by something, I go in the house. I go in the house. I put my things away and I go in the house and I try again the next day. And so that would be my suggestion. If they're going to garden, there's going to be like you can't put it in some hidden away area. It's never going to be a perfect oasis, but you can protect it. Whatever garden that you have or hobby that you take on, and just protect your peace by, this one thing. I'm not going to allow, outsiders in, or I'm not going to come into it. I'm going to come into it with a calm mind. I'm not going to turn it into a business. That's for me. Someone else may have other parameters that they have to put around their garden or whatever hobby it is that they have. But, sit down and determine what better boundaries do I need to place around my time in this garden or this garden period to keep it a place of peace. That would be my number one suggestion.
Has your relationship to gardening changed as you navigated challenges?
There are seasons. Every year, I may not be able to go hard in the garden. There are some times where I'm just like, I'm going all out. I'm planting this whole thing, it's on and popping for the whole summer or whatever. But there are times when, whether it's a time of illness or it's a time of you're just busy in other areas of your life, that you may have to cut back, and that's okay. That's okay. Don't feel another boundary around the garden. Don't feel pressure to plant more or plant less. I like to share the information that I know with others so that they can plant their own gardens. And I like to give away my vegetables, but I'm not someone that, just stresses herself out. Like, you got to put out all 50 of those pepper plants. You got to put all these tomatoes, even though, you're traveling, 2 months out of the year. And I mean, you have to be realistic with it. So I will say, I plant as, my schedule permits. Now, for me, because I'm a homesteader, my garden takes a bigger priority in my life than most other people who are just a regular, gardener. They just garden. But I still, I try to look at my life as a whole and make sure that I'm not overexerting myself out there. So, yeah.
When you see someone transform their gardening, becoming calmer, more grounded, more hopeful, what's actually changing in them?
I get so excited, and they know it. I have a small ministry at church, and some of the women that attend my classes, when they come in and say, "Hey, Nicole, I'll come with some tomatoes," and one of the things I ask is that whatever you grow, plant one or two more plants so that you have something to share. And then we bring them, and you just set it in a basket in the narthex or in the entry of the church building. And whoever needs it or wants to try it, they can grab it on their way out the door. And when they come in and they bring their stuff to share, or when they have stories about how things are doing, it lights me up like crazy on the inside because they get excited too. And it's a very empowering feeling to grow your own food. Even on small scale, you have people who decide to grow their own herbs. And now they have their own herb garden on their windowsill, and they don't have to constantly, purchase that at the store. It doesn't have to be huge. There are people that grow in containers, and they'll grow them. I had a friend, and she texted me, Nicole, I got my watermelon this year, and for me that's a big deal. Getting the watermelon and growing it to from seed to the fruition is huge. It's like, and it tastes good. I mean, and I'm super excited. I'm over the moon because it's like, that's very powerful, and that's something you don't have to go to the store and buy. And it's a new, what's the word I'm looking for? It's a new skill that you can put in your back pocket. You're like, I know how to grow food. So, yeah, and it is a skill.
Do you think plants have an intelligence or agency?
No, ma'am. No. I will admit to talking to them though. If I come out to my garden and the pepper plants are looking particularly good, I might be like, "Ooh, y'all looking good today," but I do provide them with everything they need, but no, I don't. No.
Well, Nicole, thank you for coming on today. We have truly enjoyed all the information you have given us about gardening. And you have a wonderful day, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.